Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
One of the more troubling things in the law is the concept of eminent domain. You own a piece of property, and the government comes along and goes, we need your property for something. We're going to put a highway through here or something. And you go, I don't want to sell it. They go, well, we'll pay you for it. No, it's not for sale. They go, okay, fine, we'll take it, and then we'll pay you for it. It's called eminent domain. And they can do that under some circumstances. And the circumstances are where it gets murky. Because we've seen it before, like the case of Kilo, where they took a woman's home ostensibly to allow a private company to build a factory there or a plant there. And then by the time the legal battle was over, they said, we don't need to build that plant anymore. But they still took the woman's house. That made it to the U.S. Supreme Court. So here's a story Tristan sent me out of Texas from Fox News. Emma Colton wrote it. Texas school board invokes eminent domain, and they could knock down a century-old family home to build a parking lot. They're not building a children's hospital. They're not putting in a high-speed bullet train track. This is to put up a parking lot. A parking lot. The family has owned the house since 1905 and that property, but it could be leveled for a parking lot for a football stadium. It's not, by the way, it's not even just a school parking lot. It's for the football stadium. So, I hope you like football. Public school district in Texas is pursuing eminent domain to remove a 78-year-old man from the home his family has owned since 1905. And that's in order to build a high school football stadium parking lot. I want you to understand what the significance of this place is for my father. It is where he played as a child with his grandparents, where he woke up at 4 a.m. to milk the cows. It's where he spent 39 years happily married to my mother, and where he raised a family. And it's a place we never thought we would leave, says Tara Upchurch at a school board meeting. And that was a quote from the Houston Chronicle. She's the daughter of the homeowner who's 78 years old, Travis Upchurch, who's lived at the property in Aldine for 46 years. Travis is a fourth-generation resident of the town, with his home remaining within that family since 1905. 1905. The school district is planning to build a $50 million football field and parking lot on that property and is using eminent domain after the family rejected the offers to purchase the property last year. Eminent domain allows the government to acquire private property for public use. If they need it, I could see it, but they don't ever fill up the stadium when they have football games, this man said. The father and his two children have been urging the school district to drop the action and are hoping they can change the minds of school board members as they hash out construction plans. Father says, I'm really proud of both of them, referring to his kids who've gotten involved in this dispute. The school trying to take possession of the land at this time came as a shock to the family, according to the daughter, who said she believed the school would one day buy the property, but not while her father still lived there. So maybe they could wait for a little while, but no, apparently not. She said, I cried. I don't know. I think my dad cried a little too. It's a shock. He's comfortable here. He loves his house. To lose this, it's hard. It's a sentimental place for us. The school board authorized using eminent domain in April and officially launched the process this week, according to the Houston Chronicle. We recognize that these are very delicate conversations that balance community needs and individual needs, said the school board statement given to Fox News. It is our practice to purchase properties for district use at a fair and reasonable price before any eminent domain proceeding is initiated. The property owners rejected the initial request to purchase the property in the spring of 2022. The stadium itself, they've already broken ground for that, and is expected to be open for business in August of 2024. The facility will hold 10,000 people and replace an older stadium built in 1979. Aldine has a population of roughly 16,000 people and is located in Harris County, about 10 miles from Houston. And I'm certain that because I've said it 3 times now that I'm probably mispronouncing Aldine. But I'll leave that to the viewers who would know these things better than I would. It's one of those things. Eminent domain is necessary in many situations. I completely agree that it should exist at some level. But you have to compensate the people when you take the property, obviously. But there's something to be said for Wait, what use are you going to put this to now? A parking lot for a high school football stadium. And, a couple years back, I went up north, and by up north, I mean the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And my family has roots up there. And my father's family came from a little town called Hancock, Michigan. And I can still tell you the street address my grandfather lived at because he lived right down the street from Suomi College, which is now called Finlandia, which is defunct, unfortunately. But my grandfather was the dean there for many years, and he could literally walk out his front door and walk to work and then walk home. Lived on the street where the school was. And I've gone by that home recently. I went by it 2 summers ago. And it's amazing how all these years later, I think my grandfather moved out of that house 50 years ago, maybe 55, closer to 50, I think. And so the last time I was in that house would have been 50 years ago. 50 years ago. And it brought back memories. The memories it brought back. I was coming down the street. I knew the address. I was watching the house numbers change. And of course, there have been changes and modifications to the neighborhood. Houses have been repainted. Some have been remodeled. Some had their porches redone, that kind of thing. There's my grandfather's house. I recognized it immediately. And there are certain things about it that came back to me that I didn't picture until I saw the house again. The shape of the columns on the front porch, that kind of thing. And looking at them brought back memories that I can't really properly describe. And I think most people have got places like that, often related to homes. So, the home I live in right now is not the home I lived in with my parents when I was a child. My father still lives in that home. And I've gone through that home, obviously, recently, and I have the same reaction every time I'm there. I turn the corner in the hallway to my old bedroom. There's my bedroom. I open the door up. I recognize marks on the door, that kind of thing. Now, when I open the door up, my dad's got his car book collection in there and big bookshelves. He's turned it into a library. But I remember the room very, very well. And so there is something special about property like this, real property, that you cannot put a dollar value on. You can't. So unfortunately, if they take this guy's property to put up a parking lot, it's going to destroy all of that. And the court will be determined to put a price tag on it and say, here's what the school district owes this man for this house. And they'll put a fair market value price on it. And yes, realtors could come in and calculate what that house is worth on the open market. But that would be if it was for sale. And also, they don't take into account, really, for the most part, the fact that without this piece of property, that stadium's parking lot apparently can't get built, which means it should be really, really valuable. But then if they allowed that to happen, then people would all just hang on to their properties and force these lawsuits and so on and so forth. So the man will get compensated. And he'll get compensated an amount of money that people are going to say, well, that's what that house is worth. No, that's what the house would be worth to someone else. That's not what it's worth to him or his kids. You may recall, don't it always seem to go, that you don't know what you've got till it's gone. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. So there you go. Well, we'll see what happens. But as of right now, the school board has invoked eminent domain, and it looks like they're going to knock down a man's home that's been in his family since 1905 so they can put up a parking lot for a high school football stadium. The family's owned that property since 1905. Tristan, thanks for sending it. Fox News published that. Questions or comments, put them below. Those will talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If a cow ever got the chance, he'd eat you and everyone you care about.